In this presentation, I want to talk about how do you know whether your treatments have worked. And this is a particularly problematic one for beekeepers, and I know myself that I struggle with it. It's for your spring treatment, it doesn't really matter so much because the bees are reproducing faster than the Varroa is, and colonies don't normally succumb to Varroa unless there's been a problem with the autumn treatment. But when it comes around to autumn, you're in an apiary, it's hot, you're having to take honey off, the bees aren't really pleased with you being there, and you've got the hives open and you think, well, now'd be a good time to treat, which is fine. But even when you come back a month later, it's still really hot and difficult and the bees aren't pleased with you being there. The thought of going through and checking whether your treatments have worked is a real problem because it does take time. But what we know now is we do have resistance, well, what looks like resistance, to a number of the Varroa control products. So you can no longer guarantee that if you treat in the autumn, that your colony is going to survive till spring if the treatment doesn't work. And saying that, and I have to say when I'm beekeeping, even in the autumn when I take the treatments out, I'm loath to check Varroa levels because it does take a lot of time and energy to do. But, so probably a useful thing to do is have a think about what each colony is worth to you if it goes wrong. So divide your total income from hives by the number of hives you have, and you'll get a value for each hive. And then you're going to have that in your mind when you approach them and think, do I need to check whether this Varroa treatment has worked or not? And that may give you more incentive to go through as you take your strips out to do a sugar shake or something like that, just to make sure the world looks like it's supposed to be, or that you're not going to make huge losses. And we know beekeepers, unfortunately, especially recently, that have had big losses because of it, because they couldn't see the value for an individual hive in checking whether it's worked or not. But as I say, getting a good figure in your mind for what each hive's worth will give you better encouragement to decide whether you need to do a check to make sure your treatments have worked after you take your strips out. So in summary, we can make good arguments for why you should check after treatment, but it's really economics, energy and effort that has to go into doing it. And a good way of doing it is really to sit down carefully and monitor what are the consequences of getting it wrong, what are you going to lose. And I think once you do that, most people will find treatments worthwhile. Well, sampling Varroa levels after the treatment to make sure the treatment has worked is a worthwhile thing to do.